second. There we go. Cool.
So, look, I think with coronavirus, one question for all the listeners is, where are you? The Kubler-Ross model of change is a great model. You know, we started to see this when the news on the left-hand side came out of China that the coronavirus is there. We moved into a bit of denial, frustration, and quickly in the last couple of weeks, as businesses have horribly been shut down and people are, you know, having to change their way of life in a complete fashion, we move into this depression stage. And I guess there's some great examples, but because you can stay here and stay down in the low section, or start to move back up that curve and say, okay, how do I experiment? What are the things that I'm going to have to do differently today, tomorrow, next week, next month? And then start to try a few things, move to what's working, and then really get back to a new normal. And I think that's, you know, when you look now, probably in about a month's time, we've gone through the Easter holidays. People have adjusted to working from home, shopping in a different way, moving online, you know, and we're socially distancing. People will get to a new norm. And I think that'll also then open up opportunities, you know, and you look at, say, a cafe is a great example where you used to connect with your customers because they came into your shop. You might not have had a CRM system, you might not have had their details, but they might have had a coffee loyalty card. In the new model, they can come and get takeaway and they're back out. But maybe you can connect with them via Facebook, doing local area marketing, or giving them an update when you've baked fresh bread. Or there's ready-made meals that you've just prepared at 4:00 and they can come in, so they can limit their exposure to being outside. So it's, how do you connect in a new way? And it's difficult and it's change and it's going to be horrible, but it's absolutely possible. And I think
one thing we can all guarantee: we won't go back to where we were.
No, and I think that's, you know, we've been talking about. You know, on some businesses, ISEX was a great example of that. We're 100% online. You know, our whole business ran digitally. We've been talking for years that people have been moving to digital. And in one way, if we didn't have the type of technology we have today, we couldn't continue to operate the way we are.
We couldn't be talking right now.
Yeah.
We couldn't do this, yeah.
So it's forcing the entire population to adopt those new ways of working. And that will, after a month, like any habit, it becomes the norm. And once you reset the norm, and I think as business owners, that's something we need to get mentally prepared for, that after a month of, you know, customers not coming into your store or not, you know, shaking hands, it just becomes second nature. So we need to adapt now so we're ready for those opportunities. And I think, you know, I was taught this a long time ago when I was doing my traineeship. I remember my store manager said to me, focus on the customer and everything else will fall into place. And it's that, if you're providing great value, if you're focusing on the customer's needs, you're the one that needs to change, not the customer. And therefore, we've got to earn the right to get their custom. And I think if we, you know, stand back from it and go, okay, how can I earn my customers, you know, business in this new environment? That's really going to help. You know, if you ever need to put a point on it, and this is from a Bain study. A 5% increase in customer retention correlates to at least a 25% increase in profit. And again, I had a store manager years ago that said, stop trying to get new customers. I was at Woolies. Don't worry about getting them from Coles. He said, just sell the ones you got 50 cents more. Just sell every customer something else. Yep. And it's such a good lesson that you go, we can spend all this money, and sometimes it's, you know, look after the ones you got.
Yep. Opportunities under your nose.
Yeah, and I think in this new world, and it's happening right now, and a lot of business owners are doing this, cutting the waste and inefficiencies. And I think it should be really a good opportunity. You know, never let a crisis go to waste. Actually stop and go, are there things that are waste? Are there things that I'm carrying? Are there tough calls I haven't made? It's time to make them now, because you need to free up the cash so you've got the money to invest in opportunities. So as you start to experiment in those new ways, you can put some money behind it, because if there's a lesson out of every economic shock we've had, you know, whether it was the GFC, those businesses that lent in, they spent a bit more on marketing, they've managed to get through. they came out stronger on the other side, and that's critical.
That's a good point you're raising.
And a good a good example of that. This is again a nice retail calculation, because it's GMROI, so gross margin return on inventory invested. So how much am I getting back versus the cost that it's of carrying that inventory when I'm selling a product. So in this example, we're saying, look, we've got 150,000 in annual sales. My average inventory cost me 65,000 at a high level, 49% margin, which is pretty good. I'm sitting there going, wow, I'm happy with that margin. But when you do the calculation and divide sales by the inventory cost times the margin, it comes out at $1.13. So this retailer is making $1.13 for every dollar they invested, which is not so good. So it's sometimes...
And not that many have 49% gross margins either.
Correct. Correct. So when you do GMROI properly and you're doing it at a SKU level, as a retailer, instead of getting obsessed with the percentage margin, how much cash am I tying up in inventory, and how quickly can I turn that cash, inventory back into dollars in my pocket? Because you probably find you delete a whole bunch of SKUs that are doing you nothing except costing you money, sitting in your store.
I'll just pause you for a second there, if I may, Scott. People, did you just hear what Scott said? I hope you're paying attention, because that tip he just gave you, that strategy that Scott just gave you then, could save your ass this month. Sorry, it's that important, Scott. It's a powerful message, something I've been coaching clients on about, sell what people want. So please go on, but it's a strong message. Thank you very much for bringing it up.
I think super important. Doesn't matter the industry, and I've worked across insurance, energy, retail, entertainment, digital. Being able to stand back and look at the business, and look, in social isolation and some of those businesses right now, you might be in a situation where you're forced not to be able to work, or you can't deal, or you've got extra time. So you might be a cafe that's working, serving takeaways, but there's a whole bunch of other time where you've now got downtime. This is a great time to get business fit. This is a great time to work on your business instead of in it. And being able to say, I've spent money on my product. Am I carrying deadwood? Is there inventory in there that I just shouldn't be carrying? Because if I can free that cash up, and even if you take a loss, because if it's under $1, when you do this analysis, there'll be ones that are under $1. So that means it's cost you $1 and you've got 90 cents back for it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it yesterday. Get rid of it. And even if you get 90 cents in the dollar, 80 cents in the dollar, it doesn't matter. You have that dollar now in your pocket, and you can go and spend it and invest it on things that are good and growing, and start to push.
I'm sure your old Woolworths manager told you what my old Coles manager said, which was your first markdown's your cheapest.
Correct.
Move it along.
Doesn't get cheaper. So it's that holding cost. So look, I thought that one, when I look at some of the members, just a great reminder. It's the old retail, serve your customer, focus on your cost, get rid of the waste and inefficiency. A great way to analyze it is use GMROI to actually analyze the waste and efficiency in your business.